First Gen Wealth, we talk about an entrepreneur's journey to creating wealth. I've got a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues, a lot of peers that they're brought up with money and the ability to handle and figure that out. Finding dollars has always been easy. Finding a deal, making money, I can do that. What to do with it to make it continue to earn so we do have that generational wealth, that's the missing piece. We want our money that we've earned through blood, sweat, and tears to now go to work for us so that money is making money while we're sleeping. Hello, welcome to First Gen Wealth Podcast. I'm Randy Woodworth. Today for the holiday, we've got a special, I don't know how special, but a different episode. I'm going solo. I've got a few things I want to talk about. We've had some amazing guests on the first 5 episodes. This episode 6, and I just want to hone in on a little bit of my story, some of the mistakes I've made, and some advice maybe that somebody can get from me and hopefully start their path to wealth generation. So, basically I started real estate in 2000. It wasn't a planned or conscious decision. I didn't decide to work towards becoming a real estate agent and then joining that industry. What happened was I was actually in construction for several years, starting in high school. And my best friend, Jim Warfel, whose family locally owned a residential real estate company here, tragically passed away on his 24th birthday in the year 2001. And I ended up going full time into that business because of his death and the need from his family's business to kind of, they lost their sons. So there was some long period of time there where they needed help. And that's when I decided to kind of go full time into the real estate business. So from there, the idea of selling houses, which this company was a residential brokerage firm, didn't really set well with me after about 2 years of doing that. I didn't get very passionate about people discussing paint colors and whether their sofa would fit in the living room. It just didn't resonate with me. Now, I did enjoy some of those purchases with friends and family and new clients where they've got their first time home, and it was an exciting process, but it wasn't fulfilling for me. So I started to transition and what they call a residential commercial blend of a real estate agent with that company. And really found that I enjoyed the commercial real estate aspect. And it was during that time that I started buying some duplexes and some single family homes to have the beginning of an investment portfolio. I'm going to come back to that, but really the journey for me in the commercial industry really started when I left LaValle, unfortunately after the tragic death of my broker, and moved to CBRE, which is a global leader in commercial real estate. It was at that company that I realized this business, this industry of commercial real estate was bigger, more sophisticated than I had ever imagined. And I really felt like I started a disservice to my clients the way that I was operating before, where I was kind of just floating between residential and commercial and not really specializing. So CBRE taught me the importance of specialization. It's where I really honed in on the retail side of this business and really cut my teeth and learned the commercial real estate business. From there, in 2010, I started Woodworth Commercial. And, fast forward, it's been 13-ish years. And I think we're doing pretty well. We've got a wonderful staff, and we've been very instrumental in a lot of projects locally in my market, as well as a few others. So that's kind of how I got to where I am. So I'm gonna jump back to what I started to tell you earlier, and that's when I was in that brokerage company, the Valley Real Estate. I started purchasing some single family homes and duplexes as an investment. I realized it was the book, Robert Kiyosaki's world famous book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read that when I was in my 20s, and definitely realized that real estate for me made sense as a path to wealth. And it's proven throughout recent history that the majority of millionaires are developed through real estate investment. So what I didn't understand at that time was leverage. So I was in to back up, during that time period prior to 2008, it was very easy to get financing, and housing prices were pretty high for that time period, and there was plenty of no money down opportunities at that time. So leverage is something that, when used properly, is an excellent way to develop your real estate portfolio. However, when used improperly, can absolutely destroy you. Now, luckily, I didn't get destroyed, but I did abuse it. Utilizing that zero money down stuff is terrific until you get into a situation like you've got 08, 09, where everything takes a nosedive, and suddenly, when you've over leveraged on buying real estate to the point of, I wasn't just borrowing to buy, I was borrowing to improve, even stuff that necessarily didn't need to be improved. So greatly over leveraged. Long story short, I ended up getting rid of all of that stuff to either break even or at a loss in some cases. But I learned a valuable lesson, and that is leverage is important when used correctly. So now across my portfolio, I actually just checked it out last night. We're at about 50% loan to value. So 50% of my portfolio has debt overall across the board. And then 50% of that equity is undebted. Whatever. Doesn't have any liens on it. So anyway, so that, may be a little bit aggressive, but the fear of losing and the fear of doing it the way I did before and not, basically coming to the brink of destruction and investment, was a tough lesson. So it was one I wanted to share, so that, as we talk about these things and building a real estate portfolio, you have to have some cash to do that. Now, there's multiple ways of getting cash, and it might not be cash. It could be equity. And so the way to avoid over leveraging is a couple of ways. And obviously one is cash. So you want to be at a minimum of 25% LTV, in my opinion. 30% is probably better. And if you can afford it, 35 to 40% down payments would be the way to go. And that way you can weather any economic storm, any rent depreciation that may happen, expenses that come along that you weren't anticipating. Just having that ability to weather those types of occasions is powerful, and it gives you a very good sense of security. So the other way besides cash, and how I kind of investment 2.0, if you will, when I booted and got back into the world, into the investment world, I should say. Number one, I had a great experience at CBRE, and I learned the value of commercial real estate and being a specialist in that, and having that retail training. And when I say retail training, I'm talking retail tenants. So anything that's in a strip mall, anything that's in a downtown, that's my area of real specialty. Now, I've honed those skills to include office and industrial over the years. I've been at this 23 years now, but for me, that dive back in, if you will, into the investment world, I was going to focus on commercial, and I was going to focus specifically in the retail. So a way to help your leverage game without cash is partnerships, and specifically partnerships where you're bringing sweat equity via construction management, via the deal structure. In my case, I'll give a quick story. What happened was there was a large Kmart that was vacant, as all of them are now. Well, all of them are gone, but they've been repurposed. But we had one locally, and I saw an opportunity. This is a 110,000 square foot empty building in the middle of our commercial district here, and I did not have the capital to go purchase that and fix it all up and do what needed to be done. But I did have the knowledge. So what I did was I put together a plan and a pitch, and I went and talked to a few high net worth individuals. So let me talk about that real quick. It's important to have a network of people with money. If you don't have it yourself, you got to know some guys. And you may think that's some sort of mountain to climb that, oh my God, how am I ever going to meet somebody that has a bunch of money? Well, you just do. You take that action. And for me, I reached out. And you can't be afraid to get denied and told no. So I just kept going until I found somebody that understood what I was trying to do. As a matter of fact, it was the third go round with somebody before it actually worked. So I put together a plan for this 110,000 square foot vacated Kmart that included converting it to a multi-tenant asset. So more than one tenant we were going to put in, which required a ton of construction dollars to separate that out. But I put the bid together. I designed the plan. I had some tenants that were very interested, and I budgeted the project out and presented it. And finally, somebody understood what was there, and they saw the opportunity and saw the upside. So I asked for 30% of the project to basically manage it and put it all together, and with no money down. Okay. I was bringing the knowledge. I was bringing the tenants. I was bringing the work that had to be done to transition that from a single tenant Kmart to a multi-tenant facility. We agreed at 20%, but hey, I had no money out of pocket. So that deal for me seemed terrific, and it was. And for me, a leverage standpoint, I have none. It was my partner's debt and his cash and his capital to purchase, his cash, his capital to redevelop. But what it did was it gave me a baseline, a beginning of a real estate portfolio that, in this case, was pretty admirable to the from the perspective of the bank. I have now on my balance sheet an asset that I own 20% of, and I have a history now of turning one thing into another thing. So it's a great story to be able to tell the bank. Now I leveraged that one move into many moves, because once you can show that you can, you get buy-in from the bank, and it allows you to do your own thing. Now that took several years. I actually did a couple more deals with that same investor because it worked out. That project did. And then got involved in some similar situations with other high net worth individuals, to where I had 6-7 properties on my portfolio, on my balance sheet, that showed a significant amount of equity position in my personal financial statement. So you can Google what all these terms mean if you don't know them, but and I'll dive into some of it maybe on some future episodes. But really, the point is activity and action. So you have to see what you want, develop a plan, and if you have no knowledge Come talk to me. Go talk to somebody that has it in your market. I mean, usually brokers are willing to chat. Oh, I mean, I shouldn't say usually. I mean, like 95% of the time, brokers are willing to chat. It's a little more difficult to get into a meeting with a high net worth individual, but if you've got a plan that makes money, they want to hear it. They're high net worth individuals because they make money moves. I say scared money don't make money. And while conservative money is a little harder to get, they will invest. So getting into the idea in your mind to understand that if it has been done, then it can be done, which means I can do it. It's developing a plan that you can pitch. And I'm speaking more to somebody that does not have a ton of capital, which was my case. So the point being, I didn't have any money, and I was able to build a pretty significant real estate portfolio over the last 15 years, starting with somebody else's money, but my time, my energy, my efforts, and my knowledge. And so it can be done because I've done it, and I didn't invent this idea. I saw other people who did it, and I just mimicked it. So the idea of partnerships to get into the real estate game, especially on the commercial level, is a great way to help your leverage. And this is all coming back to the leverage conversation, that you want to be in a position to weather storms in this business, because real estate is a absolute money maker. It's an absolute income generator. It's an absolute way to become wealthy, but it's not simple. You have to understand the market, and you have to have good people in your corner, whether that's mentors, brokers, attorneys, accountants. All of those things need to be in your circles so that you can rely on experiences from other people to help build this for yourself. But getting your foot in the door and starting the process is, in real estate, is the easiest way to build wealth. Like, you cannot, it's way more difficult to go out and start some manufacturing company. It's way more difficult to go to Wall Street and become some hedge fund manager. Like, that path, I'm not even educated on how to begin that. So, and that's why not as many people do it, right? So real estate, though, is something that everybody with drive, everybody willing to take action, everybody and anybody that desires to change the way that their life is headed can do it. And they can start on a multitude of different levels. And I've been speaking in the last podcast about the house hack of buying a duplex and living in one side, because your cost to entry is significantly low. Like, we're talking $3,000-$4,000. But there's other ways, and it's knowledge, and it's hustle. And at the end of the day, getting started is the key, because once you start, you can build. And once you build, you can now go have sit downs with large firms, with large banks, with very high net worth individuals, because you've got a track record, you've got a history of making money and turning projects around, and your doors will open into greater opportunities. But nobody first gen, which is what this podcast is, nobody that is building it themselves can start from some giant portfolio. It takes baby steps and patience. But I'm telling you, in 5, 7, 10 years, your life can be completely different. You just have to be willing to put in the work, to take the steps, take some action, and change your life. And I'm here for anybody that wants to talk. And this podcast has opened some doors, not only for me in meeting some new people, but also for some people that I've known for many years that have reached out and want to have further conversations, which is what this is all about. I am looking forward to the next couple of weeks, where I've scheduled a half a dozen meetings with people that really want to get started, and I'm here for it. So, and this just goes back to my point, like, you can do it if you take action. And when I say you can find somebody in your own market, if you're local to Owasso, 30 minutes, I'm here. I'm willing to talk. Now, you might not like what I have to say, but take the action. You can go talk to somebody else. You can learn my ideas behind what I think you should do, and you can tell me to piss off and go talk to somebody else. But at least you're taking action, and I'm here for it. So anyway, as you're watching this, I'm probably sitting on the beach with my family on our vacation. But I just wanted to take this time during the holiday to kind of talk and speak a little more nuts and bolts about my story, about some of the opportunities that are out there for you, how to do it. And I hope you found some value here because, and I sound like a broken record, but really it's so basic. It's a couple of things. It's a decision to change. It's a decision not only to change, but a decision to move in a direction that makes you money. I say passively, right? You don't have to go to clock in at a job to make this money. So it's a decision and then it's action. So once you decide, doing the activity becomes easier. And at the end of the day, we all want what's best for our families. And you know, for me personally, I want to provide something that my kids and their kids can build off of for the rest of my lineage, right? That's a big statement, but really it just takes action in the beginning. And in 10 years from now, it won't look anything like what it does now. And if I can build my portfolio to a certain level, then my heirs can build it to the next level, and then their heirs, you know, can be real estate titans, if you will. But it starts with that first generation, that first person to make the decision to say, all right, this is enough. We're going another direction. I encourage you to do it today. I'm here for you. Enjoy your holiday. I hope you found value here. I've got a couple of great guests lined up over the next couple of podcasts, so keep tuning in. I appreciate it. Like I said, I've got the guests. I don't know yet what the topics are going to be, but they're going to be awesome. So please tune in. Thank you.